What's up, world? What's up, gardeners? Welcome back to another episode of Just Grow It, the podcast. I'm your host, Big City Gardner, and today we are talking about gardening zones and why it's important to know your gardening zone, but why it's also important to know that knowing your gardening zone isn't everything that you need to know when it comes to gardening. So let's get to it. What exactly is your gardening zone and how do you find that information? Well, your gardening zone is it's a geographic area. It's an area on a map that is defined by the extreme cold temperatures it receives. I don't know if that makes any sense. Let me say it like this. Your gardening zone tells you, based on your zip code, how cold it gets in your area. Now, it's not all-inclusive and it's not the only thing you need to know, but it's a great starting point for people when they first get into gardening. Now, the first USDA gardening zone map was set up in 1927 by a man named Dr. Alfred Rader. And people use that map. It told you the same information. It would tell you how cold it gets in New York versus how cold it gets down here in Texas. Now, people use that map up until 1938 when a man by the name of Dr. Donald Wyman came out with his version or an updated version of these gardening zones of this map. People used that until 1960 when the government stepped in and said, hey, I can do it better than you guys. And they introduced what we call now the USDA plant zones. Now, this information, the USDA plant zone is specific to America, but they have the same thing no matter where you live. So if you go to Canada, you're going to be able to find your gardening zone information there. Same thing with Australia, Europe. It doesn't matter. You just call it something different, but it's the same basic concept. Now, like I said, these zones tell you information about the growing area, such as the average lowest temperature in your area. Now, while that is cool and very good to know, it's kind of deceiving, right? Because you can have areas on different sides of the map and they can be in the same gardening zone. And we'll get a little bit more into that. I love these USDA zones. Like I said, it's a great place to start if you're a new gardener, but it does not tell you everything you need to know to be successful. So just because you know you live in zone 8B, that doesn't mean much more than, hey, I know it's not supposed to get colder than this here, right? These maps or these zones, they do not give us information on things like precipitation, which is extremely important. They do not give us things like humidity. And most importantly to me, where I live, they do not give us information on like the heat index or the summer temperatures. They just give us the conditions on how cold it can possibly be. So you could see how it could be a problem, right? Because without these other factors, then I end up, kind of with not all the information that I need, I can say. Look at this example. Somewhere like Austin. I think Austin is in zone 8B, and then Seattle is also in zone 8B. Now, just because they're in the same gardening zone, that's about the only similar characteristics those places share. For example, in the summertime, Austin gets to an average temperature of probably 95 degrees. And I would guess that Seattle gets to an average temperature of 70 degrees. So just because we know the gardening zone, like I said earlier, that does not give us all of the information. That doesn't tell us about how much more rain a place like Seattle receives than a place like Austin. So keep that in mind once you find out your gardening zone. While it's a great starting point, what you're going to need to do is to reach out to other local gardeners or growers in your area to kind of get some more information. Use it as a great starting point to know that, hey, I'll receive this many chill hours because my temperature should drop like this, but don't let it be everything you base your decisions off of. One thing I've noticed is that some plants say they are good for a specific region, but they don't end up growing well in that region. So just because something says it's good for zone 8B, that does not mean it will grow well in Seattle or it will grow well here in Austin. Like, it may grow well in one of those places, but not both of those places. So don't be discouraged if you purchase a plant and it tells you it's for your gardening zone and it just does not thrive. Another problem I have with these USDA gardening zones or with this information is, while it does tell me the coldest temperature, it doesn't tell me how long that cold temperature lasts. So they'll tell me that a place, we'll keep using Austin. They'll tell me Austin is a similar gardening zone to a place like Virginia. But I know in Virginia, it gets a lot colder and stays colder for a lot longer than it does in a place like Austin or Dallas. So there are still some flaws or some problems with this USDA gardening zone, and I'm sure they'll continue to update these maps like they do. I know that a long time ago when I first looked, I was just zone 9, but now I'm zone 9B. And I'm sure in 10 more years, they'll probably have a 9C or a who knows. Anyway, there's 13 of these zones, and the further south you are, the bigger the number is. So if you live in a place like San Diego, you're probably in zone 10, while if you live in a place like Minnesota, you're probably up there by zone 3 or something like that. Don't quote me on what zone Minnesota is. That was just a guess off the top of my head. So take your gardening zone information and use it as a starting point to help you on your gardening journey. That's all for now. That's all for today. If you found this informative, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. If you didn't, that's cool. Send me a message and let me know why. But until next time, I'm out, and don't forget to just grow it. Before I let you go, I need you to do more than one thing. First, I need you to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast. Second, I need you to tell a friend or two about the show if you enjoyed it. And if you have anybody you think I need to talk to, I should interview, send the name over, put it in the comments, or send me an email, igrow@BigCityGardner. And check me out, man, on Instagram and on all social media platforms, Big City Gardener. We out. Oh, almost forgot. Just grow it.